Good afternoon to all of you, and it's a pleasure for me to be invited by the Chamber of Commerce, the Canadian Peruvian Chamber of Commerce, to be present here, also with Ambassador Roberto Rodriguez, who has been doing a fantastic job in the few months that he is here. Thank you very much, Roberto, for all the job, and you can trust him. He's a very good contact for you if you want to do business in Peru. Also, I want to welcome the governors of Tacna and the governor of Moquegua, two regions that have fantastic potential mining opportunities, and they are working to create value, joining and being partners with your country, with your projects. But let me tell you some stories. I don't want to be boring, so let's start. Thank you, Minister, also for being with us. Many countries will offer you that they have good mining opportunities, geologically, but probably they don't have the good macroeconomic foundations. Some will offer you some good laws, good macroeconomic, but no mining opportunities, very low, some of them with high cost. Others will offer you good macro, some mining opportunities, but continuous instability, political instability. Peru is a stable country. You can remember last year, Vice President at that time, Vizcarra, was ambassador in Canada. He was here. And after a short transition, a very easy transition, after the resignation of President Kuczynski, he took the position of President of Peru. Nothing happens in terms of economic behavior, the stability of the political situation, which was kind of confusing and turbulent at that time, came down to a calm season, I would say. So this is showing you that we have institutions in our country, and we can keep in our institutions. Following the Constitution, we can follow up. So the story of this country called Peru is a story of trust. It's a story of a country that can offer you good macroeconomic fundamentals and, of course, a consolidated growth, a friendly environment for investment, and, of course, openness to the world. And I will show you that through my presentation. Let's see the macro issues. In the last 20-25 years, we can see that our growth is strong, and we are leading the growth in Latin America. You can see previous the crisis of the Asian countries in 2000, the crisis in US on financial sector, we have been growing around 6%, 6-8% average. During the crisis, we grew 4.7%. I was Minister of Finance at that time, and with strong macroeconomic policy, we avoid having a reduction of our growth rate that at that time was like 9% approximately. Then afterwards, past the crisis, we still have a growth rate of 4%. Which is larger than any country that you can compare in our region. In terms of macroeconomics, there's another great advantage. We have an independent central bank. I think the president of the central bank is around. It didn't come, but well. We have an independent central bank, which is very important for us. So we can keep inflation rate quite low. 2.9 was last year. And this is our average. Very low, always below 3%, that was our top. In terms of our debt, we keep our debt very low, our public debt. As a matter of fact, we never passed the 30% in the last 25 years, never. So we are really having investment grade because of that. On average, we had 23.6, now we're 26, more or less, but we will never go beyond the 30%. In terms of international research, the same thing. We have quite good international research, larger than many countries in our region, as percentage of our GDP, that can allow us to really support more than 1 year of imports. So it's quite good for us. And in terms of country risk, we are one of the lowest, as you can see in the presentation. We are pairing the situation of our friend Chile. In terms of trade, in the last 15 years, we have been negotiating a large amount of free trade agreements with 26 countries at this moment. Recently, the last one we signed and put into implementation is the agreement with Australia. And these FTAs are complete agreements that have not only chapters on trade, but also they have chapters on investment, they have chapters on other policies, internal policies that can help us to have, for example, competition policy and other issues like that, that can help us really assure good fundamentals and a good treaty with our partners abroad. One of the most famous is the Pacific Alliance. We are also together as an integration process, which is quite important also because it also helps us to integrate the capital markets and help us to integrate our financial sector and promote investment. We have this Pacific Alliance with Mexico, Chile, and Colombia. And many countries are willing to be partners with us. There's 4 countries that want to be part of, associated to this group. And also we have many countries that are also observers of the process and usually are seeing what is going on in this group, which are moving in the right direction. We already have finished the CPTPP, and it's going to be into place, I think, by the end of this semester. And we have some other agreements that are pending of finishing negotiations or putting into place. And also, one of our main objectives during this government is to work to be part of the OECD. We want to be part of the OECD. As a matter of fact, we are members of many chapters in the OECD and participate in many committees. And the good thing of that is that we can also lock in the good institutions, the better practices that can help us to have a solid economy. And I want to thank many of your countries are also supporting our accession. In terms of restrictions on cross-border financial transactions, I think this table is very important. As you see, Peru has the almost 100% extent in capital account transactions, so it's very open to the world in capital account, but also not only in capital account, but also in current account. You can really use multiple exchange rate in the country. There is no restrictions on that, and there is no restrictions in movement of capital abroad, from out and inside. Absence of requirement of the surrender exports proceeds are also there. In terms of our current situation, I will show you that Peru, even though there were sort of a mixed situation during the last year, 2018, we saw that US was growing, but on the other side, we saw Europe going down because in the rate of growth, because of the Brexit and other turbulence they had. And in terms of China, also a down slope of their situation, basically related with the trade restrictions that we're seeing in the world. US, of course, has a lot of instability right now in terms of policy, and that is shown also with the index of the PMI. But in our case, you can see a country that's moving in the right direction, is above most emerging countries in terms of the stock market. And as I mentioned, in terms of exchange rate, we have quite a stable exchange rate, only 4% of depreciation last year. And this year we're seeing a little bit of appreciation. So our exchange rate is free, it moves freely, and no problems in adapting to the new situations. Our sovereign risk is very low, it's probably one of the lowest in the world, in the region, so it's interesting to see that also. Our growth rate basically is because our domestic demand. Our growth rate is supported by investment, as you will see in this table. In 2018, we started to having some rules that will allow the growth of gross fixed investment. So we changed the curve. After many months and quarters that we were going down, it's what in 17, that we're growing, and in 18 we keep on that growth. So this is important that we have a continuation of our policy. Our fiscal policy also is strong, and as you see, our public investment is moving quite fast, and it's also the support of private investment. So both are moving in the upright direction, which is because we have the incentive to keep on this track of investment and private investment. We had in 2018 a heavy problem with El Niño, and that brought us to put a lot of our resources and have a fiscal deficit was 3.1. But next year, immediately, we went back again to the reduction of this fiscal deficit. And our purpose is to get to the 1% deficit and keep the 1% deficit limit in 2020-21. Last year, the recovery came because of the private sector growth, because we have better general government revenues that were improving through our tax system. And as I show you, this is a convergence we want to have again in balance by 2021, which will be a deficit of 1%. And the debt, as I mentioned, also keep low debt. And you can compare with the other countries, other emerging economies, and we are the lowest one in the area. In terms of our fiscal responsibility, the sovereign rates and outlooks are quite good for Peru. Peru has stable outlook, and compared to other countries that are being downloaded recently or they have negative outlook, we are stable for all the three companies that measure this. And this is very important if you want to invest, because you will see that this is constantly the same situation for Peru. You will see it also in the curves. Our sovereign yield curves are quite good, and compared to US also, we have good rating in general. We compete with Chile in this situation. In CDS, also the same. For financial sector, it is very important. Only Peru and Chile have the best situations in Latin America, and that means that you will have less need to have protection in terms of your investments. Our forecast is that Peru will have a growth rate probably of 5% starting 2021, and with an overall balance of less fiscal deficit, good stock public debt, and lower inflation. The economy will continue to grow and will lead the growth in Latin America. Will be 4.7 approximately the projected rates in which we can grow. And probably if we have more investment, that will go further, of course. This is more or less the curve. we see that private investment will be the one who will be pushing our domestic demand. So this is quite good in terms of the fundamentals of our growth. Otherwise, it doesn't depend that much on the government. The openness that we have on investment help us to bring people and have better employment for our people. We don't believe that it's subsidizing people that we have people going out of poverty. Of course we need that, but we believe that it's jobs that really help us bring our people out of poverty. And as a signal of that, in the last years we have been reducing poverty in an important manner. In the last 10 years, less than 10 points, no, more than 10 points was that the reduction of our poverty rate, which is right now hard to fight, but we're there. You're fighting poverty. In terms of mining opportunities, the macro stability really helps also our mines to come. So we see some projects like the ones I mentioned, the mining investment, the real processing rate is in the right manner. We are expecting this year to be a strong process because we have Quellaveco already investing, we have Mina Justa also in the process of investment, Toro Mocho, the expansion, Catcher Main, Relaves, B2, San Rafael, all of these are investments that are promoted for this year. And we hope that we can move this curve up very soon. In terms of non-mining investment, the same. We're seeing more infrastructure coming in, lines of metro, we are having the airport, the expansion of the Lima airport, also airports in Cusco and other areas. We have more ports. Recently I was in Davos and Costco China ports announced an investment of $3 billion in a port, a multipurpose port in Chancay in the northern part of Lima. So this really will help us to keep on this growth. Hydrocarbons the same, and other investment are coming up. In terms of projects, we think, and that's a mistake, we have 18 billion that will boost investment, the private investment. In mining is the main sector, which is 8.8 billion USA, but we'll see that infrastructure is the second and other sectors will move us beyond. We have an important pipeline of projects that will be awarded between 2019 and 2021. And some of them are in other areas like transportation, sanitation, health services, irrigation, education, and others. Public investment, of course, will continue to increase, even though that we're consolidating and reducing our fiscal deficit, we want to keep on the purpose of growing, and we're working very close with the governors in the region. So they invest in the regions in the right manner. We're cooperating with them very closely, transferring the resources, but also cooperating to have the best projects, not only transferring money, but also the cooperation with them is very important for us so we can keep on track with the right investment in infrastructure that is so needed in our country. And for mining opportunities, let me show you that even though the prices have been moving, in terms, for example, industrial metal prices, we are like above the 5-year average. And if we talk about copper, it's the same. We are above the 10-year average. So the prices are good for investment at this point. So that makes us a country that can bring you and bring opportunities, because in terms of participation and in terms of capturing the largest investments in mining, we are the 5th in the world. So that means that we have great opportunities for you and we can really help you. And I know the Minister of Mining is working very hard to attract new explorations and preparing new projects law projects that we can help reducing the cost of bringing the exploration to the country. because our legal system, our own constitution, let us have foreign investment with freedom. This is very important. Our constitution has put the same treatment for local and foreigners investors. And if we have any conflict, we can go to CIARI or ACDI, and we can go to any other arbitrage process that is there put in our constitution, which is very important. Also, the management of currency, the provision of foreign currency is totally free. That's also set in our constitution. And many of the contracts that we sign are protected. How are they protected? With tax stability contracts. That way we can have your projects supported by good tax stability contract and avoid the problems that may happen if something happens, some changes are decided afterwards. So these tax stability contracts are going to be improved. Next week we're going to have that in the Congress, by the way, at the discussion. So how we can improve the tax stability contracts, and the Minister of Mining has proposed some good ideas, so we're sure we're going to approve that next week in the Congress. Also, we have the refund of the value-added tax. Last year, we approved the return of the value-added tax for exploration, but recently they put only a limit of 1 year. We're going to present a new law at the Congress so we can keep a permanent permission for exploration, so you avoid that problem. Probably we'll have to fight for the permanent of every renewable every 3 years. One of those will be approved in the Congress, I'm sure, but this is something we have that in our agenda. And also we have the anticipated recovery of the value-added tax, also another instrument that helps you to reduce your costs for the process of exploration and also of exploitation of the projects. And well, Fraser is going to be here announcing our situation. Thank you. I cannot make an advance only. We are 14 in their index, which is quite good in terms of attractiveness. But not only having the attractiveness and being 14, this is not an stable index. We are going better each time. We went from 28 in 2016, and then we went 19 last year, 2017, and 14 last year. So this is like an improvement of our attractiveness for investment in Peru in the mining sector. Thank you very much, by the way. Also, in terms of cost, this is quite important. We have one of the lowest costs in world copper production, for example. Our cost is 80 US cents per pound, which is quite low compared to other countries, which are like around, in average, 135. So this is an important way you can compare our costs. In terms of electricity, also, we have one of the lowest costs for energy. And we are moving ahead with more projects on energy and connecting all the country with energy. So that will help us. It's 40% lower. And in terms of pipeline, this is an issue somebody was asking me this morning. This is our pipeline, 59 billion of projects, 48 projects that we have. And in different situations, we have pre-feasibility, it's 55% of the portfolio, 25% of the portfolio is feasibility, 9% is detailed engineer, and we have others, like 15% of the portfolio already in construction. So Peru has great opportunities, and if you start looking with more detail, in terms of exploitation of our mines in Peru, we are 1% of our potential, 1% in terms of exploitation. So you can imagine how much we can invest in Peru and have interesting projects. And well, here I show the mining investment, the trend that we will have in the coming years. And of course, I hope these two red bars can go up with your help. In general, I would say that the story I mentioned at the beginning is a true story. You have more than 25 years of stability, good macroeconomic foundations, excellent investment environment, the climate is quite good political stability. I think Peru is a partner. Of course, we have to do our job in Peru. As a matter of fact, we're at this moment working in a program called competitiveness plan. We already have a policy in that sense for competitiveness, and we're working very hard because we have to be above this situation of having a GDP per capita which is quite low compared to similar countries that were in the same situation in the 60s. So we have to work in that. And the country is moving in that direction. Increasing productivity can help many things, and working in that direction. For example, we have, as I mentioned, a competitiveness policy that includes not only investment opportunities in infrastructure through this national infrastructure plan, but also cutting red tape. And I understand that that's very important for many of you. We want an investment that is friendly with the environment. We want an investment that is friendly with the communities, good responsibility, facing the social responsibility. But at the same time, we want to make it easy. We don't want so much red tape. Sometimes bureaucracy wants to grow. So the ministers, and the vice president and the president are looking after that to reduce that red tape, because this is important. And as a member of a Congress, I'm presiding a subcommittee in which we're working on competitiveness, and that's one of the main issues, reduction of red tape. So I hope that helps you. On the other side, of course, we have to move ahead and cooperate with the right fiscal impulse, to have the right macroeconomics, good investment, and of course, high private investment. We have to work hard on supporting that. And invest in our people. Capital is very important for us, but we have to invest in our people. That's why working with the governors is so important. Because, for example, here's the governor of Tacna, with a great partnership with one of the major mines in Peru, Quellaveco, and he wants to invest in the people with a technological center of excellency. That's the idea. We have to work in our people to bring them up, and this is the kind of policy we support strongly. So this story has an end. The end is that you come to Peru and invest. Thank you very much.